Hi friends, welcome to my channel, On the Mat with Kelsey. Today I have a class in store that's all made for you runners out there. This class is going to get into our lower body, to our quads, our hamstrings, our hips, our calves or shins, as well as our feet. This class will be generally short and more of a stretching and opening style class than a strength building type of flow. For this class, you will need a block or a similar shape and height item. We'll mostly use the block to sit on, so a few textbooks could work as well. If you know you have tender knees or if you're working through a knee injury, a towel or a blanket could be really helpful to have for this class as well. And let's go ahead and just get started on our backs. Find the middle of your mat. Roll yourself down. We're going to keep our knees bent today. Take your feet as wide as your mat and then let your knees knock into center. Taking your hands to your belly. Take a big breath in and a big sigh out. Beginning to bring your inhales in through the nose and out through the nose. Breathing deeply. Feeling your chest expand and then your belly expand. So breathing all the way through your whole torso. And taking one last breath in. And this time sigh out through the mouth. Blink your eyes open, take your arms out into a big T shape, pull your knees apart, and scoot your feet away from you just a little bit. And we're going to drop both knees over towards the right. Inhale back to center and slowly moving over towards the left. Just moving back and forth between the right and the left sides, windshield wipering your legs. Allow this motion to kind of massage your low back and your glutes. Opening up the hip flexors and the tops of the thighs gently. Inhale, take your knees to point towards the sky. Pull your knees in, give them a little hug. And then we're going to roll forward and backward on the spine until you come all the way up and over. Finding a tabletop. It's your upright, hands stack under the shoulders, knees stack under the hips. And then extend the right leg out long behind you. The ball of the right foot is flat on the floor. Shift your weight, your shoulders go beyond the wrists, and then back. We're stretching the right calf by doing this. As you shift the weight back, really reach the heel towards the floor, and then maybe make a little circular motion one way and the other. Now push the weight back into the foot. Continue to push down into the foot. Push so much into the hands that your left knee floats. This is like a really long, extended down dog. If you don't feel any kind of stretch, push your hips back, 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 and a little up. Your right heel reaches for the floor. Probably doesn't touch, but just by reaching it to the floor, you feel opening for your right calf. Inhale, coming back to center. And extend the left leg long. Ball the left foot on the floor, rocking your weight forward and back. Beginning to stretch out the left calf. Circular motions one way and the other. Then push the left heel towards the floor, push into the hands, and moving into that really extended down dog shape with the left leg. Inhale, coming back down. From tabletop here, making sure your knees are hip distance. Spread all the toes out away from one another, and then curl the toes underneath, coming into toe pose. Toe pose, keep your hands down to start. Just sinking your weight of your hips down towards your heels. This might be a lot of opening for you right here. If you have some plantar fasciitis or just tight feet in general, this is probably going to be a lot. You can intensify it, add more sensation by walking your hands towards your knees. If your knees are tender, if you have a blanket just in a flat, even square, you can place that under your knees in this pose. You can continue to walk your hands up your quads if that feels okay for you, taking your hips and your shoulders in a straight line above your knees. This is the most intense version of the posture. Coming out of it if you need and come back in. Take 3 even breaths. Try closing your eyes wherever you are. With the exhale, let your shoulders drop away from the ears. And go ahead and take your weight forward. Pedal out the feet. Really nice. Curl the toes under and just pull your hips, allowing your knees to stay bent. This is our first downward facing dog of the class. Just pedaling your feet, allowing the backs of your legs to really open and stretch. Maybe taking your hips towards one side and then the other. Down dog is a great posture for anyone, but great for runners because it gets into our calves, our feet, our hamstrings, our low backs. And moving into our flow, inhale, take your left leg up, 3-legged down dog. Exhale, lift the leg higher, bend the knee, open the hip. Inhale, straighten the leg, and then pull the left knee to chest. Step the left foot between the hands, drop the knee. Inhale, again, here is a spot to put that towel if your knee is a little tender. Inhale, reach your hands up. Interlace the hands, point the index fingers up towards the sky, and then exhale, lean the hands over towards the left. Push the hips over towards the right. Side body stretch for the right side. Inhale, back up to center. Exhale, hands come down. Pull the hips back in space, half split here. I'm going to stay for a couple of breaths. Flexing your left toes and folding your body over your left leg. Deep hamstring stretch. If you want more sensation, flexing those toes, then rotate the toes and the left knee open or out to the left, back to neutral. Open. As you do this, you'll really feel the IT band on the left side, the outside of your left leg. As you're ready, inhale, walk yourself back forward to low lunge. Now taking your right hand, and we want our right hand to actually be out about 8 to 12 inches ahead of our shoulder. So not directly stacked underneath, but rather ahead of it, in front of it. Curl your right toe underneath. Lift your right knee and roll into the outside edge of your right foot. Walk your left foot away from you slightly. So a modified side plank here. Reach your left hand up. And then we're actually going to just lower our hips down towards the floor. So the whole outside edge, the outside seam of your pants are on the floor. Left hand reaches back. This might be the only time in yoga, or I'm going to tell you to let your right shoulder come up by your ear. It's like you're kind of hanging out. Like this is what I would think of as like a talking to your friends, watching TV kind of shape with your shoulder, letting it shrug up by your ears. Left hand extends over towards the wall. You'll feel a pretty dramatic opening through this whole right side. Your right hip, you're in between every rib on the right side. And then everything on the left side's really compressed. Breathe. And exhale. With the next inhale, push down into the right hand. Reach the hips up. Rotate the toes to point towards the top of the mat. And then step the left foot forward and wide. So your toes are slightly off the mat. Toes and knees open 45 degrees, and we're dropping the back knee. So this is lizard pose. We don't want our knee to be beyond our ankle, rather right on top or slightly behind, but open. So this gets into the inside of the left leg. Lizard. Let's take 3 full breaths here. So stay here if this is a really good stretch for you. Knowing you can intensify it by coming onto your forearms. If you want quad opening in here, you can flex your right heel towards your booty and reach around with your left hand and grab the foot. This is a lot because you feel a lot of opening for your right quad and your left inner thigh. So maybe just do one at a time if it's a little too much. Wherever you're at, coming back up onto your hands. Curl the right toe, lift the right knee. Now we're going to walk both hands. We're going to walk our body towards the long edge of the mat. Rotate your left toes inward and your right toes in. So both feet, toes are in, heels are out. Just a straddle, forward fold, drop your head. Let your weight spill forward and down towards the floor. If you need more sensation, you can walk your hands through your legs towards the back of the room, pulling your torso towards your thighs. Wherever you're at, close your eyes. And experiment by shifting your weight, shifting more weight at least, into the toes or the balls of the feet. And then shift the weight back towards the heels. Notice how that feels differently. Just that subtle shift of weight can really engage different muscles. And with your next inhale, slowly walk your hands over towards the other short side of your mat. So now your hands should frame this right foot. Drop the back left knee. And inhale, we find low lunge on this side. Go ahead and use that towel if you used it on the other side. Reach the hands up, interlace, index fingers point towards the sky. With the inhale, imagine someone's lifting you straight up, and then exhale, reach your hands, your head over towards the right, reaching your hips over towards the left. Feel that opening there. Feel your left hip flexor, your left hip. Inhale back up to center. Exhale, hands come down. And then pulling the hips back into half split for your right leg. Flex the right foot. And breathe. In this posture, always we're always trying to keep our hips level. And you can always imagine just pulling your right hip backwards, your left hip forwards. As you do that, you'll feel the IT band on your right leg too. If you did that little windshield wiper motion, doing that here as well. Relax your shoulders wherever you are. And with an inhale, coming back into low lunge shape. Preparing for that big side body opening. So the left hand goes a little beyond your shoulder, not directly underneath. Curl the left toe underneath. Roll into the outside edge of the left foot. Heel toe this right foot a little further away from us. Right hand reaches up, inside plank. And then exhale, lower that whole outside of the left leg to the floor, allowing the left shoulder to come up by the left ear. Reach the right hand over towards the left foot. Inhale, breathe deeply into your whole left side body. Exhale, compress the right side body. And with an inhale, use your core, push into the left hand, into the outside of the left foot, and rotate all 10 toes to point forward. Level out your hands, and then heel toe, kind of wiggle this right foot forward and wide so the toes are off the mat, maybe at a slight 45 degree. We find lizard pose for this side, not allowing our knee to extend over our ankle. Finding that depth of the lizard pose that works for you, that you feel opening, you're challenging yourself, but it's not painful. If that included the quad stretch, on the other side, maybe trying that on this side as well. So not using the hand to do the work, but rather flexing that left foot, squeeze your left heel towards your booty, then reach the right hand up and back. Breathe deeply, 2 rounds of breath more. And release the foot from the hand, getting back to center. Heel to the right foot, drip underneath you. Curl the left knee, and we're walking ourselves back to the long edge of the mat. Straddle, forward fold. And with an inhale, walking back to the original top of your mat. Go ahead and drop your right knee to the mat and step your left knee back. Sitting back on your heels, we're getting ready for what I would call the peak posture of this class, which is hero's pose. You want to grab your block. So you set up for this one, just like tabletop. Your knees want to be hip distance. Your feet are flat on the floor, tops of the feet on the floor. Your feet are also hip distance. And so the block is going to come in between your feet, right in between your arches. And hero's pose is a stretch for the fronts of our lower legs, our ankles, tops of our feet. So as we do this, we're going to sit our weight back onto the block. When we want to pull the flesh or, the thickness of our calves out of the way so that our hips can sit back and onto the block. Again, here, if you have tender knees, good spot to put the flat blanket underneath your knees in this posture. Rolling your shoulder blades down your back once your hips are sitting back on the block. And lifting your chest towards the sky. Not arching our back, but just a tall, upright, regal posture that's called hero's pose. If you're sitting in this posture and you really don't feel much at all, first try pulling your knees in just slightly towards each other. If that doesn't feel good, go back to parallel. It's totally fine. The fuller variation of this posture, if you still don't feel much and you need some more sensation, is without a block. So pulling the calves out of the way. And the hips fit right down in between the heels. You may need to adjust your stance. And again, rolling the shoulder blades down the back. This full version of hero for me is a little too intense for me to hold this. I really feel it in the ankles, the tops of my feet. I like the block. Wherever you're at, close your eyes. Take 3 even, deep rounds of breath. In through the nose and out through the nose. And wherever you're at, blink your eyes open. And shift your weight forward, removing the block. Crossing your ankles, moving down to a comfortable seat. Rolling onto our backs. We're going to take a reclined pigeon pose. Extend your right leg up towards the sky. Rotate your leg in the hip socket and bend the right knee. Folding the right shin bone over the left quad. And you can thread the needle, releasing your hands behind the left thigh, or if you have a little more flexibility in the hips, you can interlace the hands over the shin, the left shin. Keeping your right foot flexed. It helps to protect your knee. We're all going to feel this in our right hip, our right glute. With every exhale, let something go. Release the shoulders. Let the tension in your face go. Let some stickiness in the muscles, the tightness in the fascia release slightly with every exhale. And with your next breath, slowly coming out of the posture, extend both of the legs up. And then exhale, bending your left leg, bending your left knee, folding the left leg over the right. Flex the left foot. Interlace your hands behind the hamstring or the shin. Know you can find a little bit of movement rocking side to side. If you find a spot that's particularly tight, maybe that's where you want to stay. And breathe deeply into that spot. And slowly release, taking your hands back out to a T. Scoot your hips over to the left and drop your knees to the right. Turn your head, look left. Gentle twist. Inhale, bring your knees back to center. Scoot your hips over towards the right and drop your knees left. Turn your head to look right. And inhale, coming back up to center. And rock up to sit. Lastly, we're going to end with legs up the wall pose. And we're going to do this actually at a wall. So if you have a space in your house where you can take your mat right up to the baseboard, we're going to go there now. I'm going to have to move this little guy out of the way. Come on, baby. So taking your mat right up to the wall. You find a sit. So that's the distance you want to be. And then you can just spin from there on your booty. So that your sit bones, your hips are already pretty close to the wall. You may need to adjust until your sit bones make contact with the wall, and then just extend your legs up. Maybe take your feet as wide as the hips or a little bit wider. You can let your hands rest at your belly or extend them in a low V or a goalpost shape, whatever feels good for you. Go ahead and take one last big breath in and a big sigh out through your mouth. Fully release all the effort from this class, all the effort from whatever run you've done most recently and all the runs before that. Imagine melting into the floor. Slowly allow your awareness to come back to your body. Blinking your eyes open, just adding a little wiggle to your feet. Notice any tingly sensation you might have in your feet from letting the blood drain back towards your heart. This is a great posture to take after a run or after a long day on your feet. And as you can, bend at one knee and the other, shifting yourself onto your side. And it'll be a little awkward, especially if you have a big dog in the way. But we're all gonna find a seated position on our mat together. Find those sit bones. Sit up nice and tall. Roll the shoulder blades down the back. We'll take one last breath together. Reach your hands up. Touch the palms and pull the hands down to heart center. The divine light in me recognizes and sees the divine light in you. Namaste. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this class. I hope this helped relieve any soreness you might have, or maybe prevent soreness if you did this one right after a run. If you have any comments, feedback, I always love to hear them. Hit subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I hope to see you soon. Have a good one.